Dan Wootton, the man who wrongfully tried to end Johnny Depp's career, has now been suspended from GB News over comments Laurence Fox made on his program. Dan's reaction didn't help, though, and now he's been terminated from Mail Online as a columnist. What happened here? Let's break it all down. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, back from LA in the studio. Happy to be here. And yeah, we have some breaking news. Dan Wootton's contract as a Mail Online columnist has now been terminated due to the investigation that's ongoing regarding these comments made by Laurence Fox on GB News over Ava Evans and the insults. Now, look, I got thoughts on this. This is a little bit more complicated than the headlines are showing, because there's a lot of throwing people under the bus, and Laurence has now thrown Dan and GB News completely under the bus and is riding over it, backing up, doing it again, and we're going to show you all that and why. But what happened? All right, so what's going on here? So Dan Wootton, if you remember, now just full background, let's fast forward even more. Dan Wootton is the one that called Johnny Depp wrongfully a wife beater. I gotta be careful what I say there. He's the one that Johnny was suing due to the Sun tabloid headlines that were false. And why did Dan Wootton stand by and do that so much? Well, legally he had to at that point because he was now on the hook. Otherwise he would have lost for defamatoriness, which he did. And he's friends with Amber Heard. That's why. And even during the trial, mind you, let's not forget, Dan, you were there. Johnny's no victim of cancel culture. He spent years trying to cancel Amber Heard and me. Lies. The farce of a trial is designed to ruin his ex-wife, but won't erase the damning judgment against him. It did, Dan. You have a lot of egg in your face, Dan. You look completely like a hypocrite. That's the problem. I know a lot of people, my audience, like him due to his Meghan Markle coverage, etc. And it was nice to see friendlies here, according to Taz, Meghan's mole, who have been on my Popcorn Palace channel, here saying, no, Dan, you're in the wrong here. Even people who are against are able to call Dan out that he was absolutely wrong there. And he just is an absolute hypocrite. All you Depp heads thinking you bullied me into silence. Hell no, I've actually just called you out. Thank you to Eve Barlow. I mean, the biggest troll liar there was. Oh, but Dan, you're right on it, Dan. No, you were wrong. And now you're feeling the wrath of the types of things that you did to others. And so it's hard to not see the hypocrisy there and celebrate a little bit. And you attempted to ruin that man. You did, Dan, and you still won't apologize. So as the walls are closing in on you on all the actions you actually seem to have done, Dan, it might be too late for an apology at this point. I don't know. Is there any version of this where Dan's apology to Depp would do well, make you feel good? I'd like to hear it, sure. But it does seem like Dan's got his own skeletons that are starting to come out, and he's starting to face the penalty. Now, all that said, because has under investigation, there's things sort of happening. I don't even think they're doing the investigation anymore. But what happened here? Because this one's complicated. This one's a little bit more complicated, and I am going to defend him a bit. I am. So what happened? Here's the comment in question. So Ava Santina said, Laurence Fox did a whole speech on GB News on why men apparently won't shag me.
We're past the watershed, so I can say this. Show me a single self-respecting man that would like to climb into bed with that woman, ever.
Now, I'm just watching the news, not condoning or saying anything. YouTube, leave me alone. We're playing this because it's newsworthy. We need to know what happened and what caused it.
Ever. Who wasn't an incel.
Now, look, he's laughing. Now, he's said that thing. Dan's just chucking it up.
Wasn't a cucked little incel. That little woman has been fed, spoon-fed oppression day after...
And he's nodding. Mm-hmm. Because he agrees. You clearly agree, Dan.
Day after day after day, starting with the lie of the gender wage gap. And she sat there and I'm...
Look at his silly, dumb grin. Dan, you're agreeing to it.
Like, if I met you in a bar and that was like sentence 3, chances of me just walking away are just huge. We need powerful, strong, amazing women who make great points for themselves. We don't need these sort of feminist 4.0. They're pathetic and embarrassing. Who'd want to shag that?
Oh, Laurence. Well, look, she...
Sorry,
right. I'm just gonna provide a touch of balance from her because she did actually respond to this earlier today. saying that she regretted her comments, but she didn't apologize. Yes, so
She should. This is the person they're talking about. Shrugged off male suicide crisis. She did. She said some awful things. We're gonna get to her in a second. But Dan's laughing at it.
So there you go. And she's a very beautiful woman, Laurence. Very beautiful woman. There you go.
Yeah, oh, I believe. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure Dan meant that. What a liar. This dude will say anything. Just, oh, he's very beautiful. You're not even into women.
I'm probably not.
Yeah, he's like, I'm probably not even the one. Exactly, because you're not one to talk about that. All right. But anyway, she did this, and she feels physically sick. How dare you? Now, look. Yeah, it's pretty sexist. Why are we bringing in who you want to shag on national television, the cable, whatever this channel is on? Clearly, this is going to get him in trouble, and it did. It got him in trouble. Laurence was immediately removed from GB News, and then Dan was as well for his reaction to it. Now, but here's where things get interesting. Laurence Fox, the fella who said it, regardless of what you think what he said, some people are now applauding Laurence. Some are obviously very upset with him. Welcome to the culture war. Laurence, however, has doubled down, and he's thrown everybody under the bus, exposing Ava for saying this to who she wants to shag for months. I live at churches, but please show me how he's not going to shag you. I'm not going to shag you, pal. Laurence isn't going to shag you, mate. I'm not going to shag you, mate. There'd be presumably some good libertarians if you feel how you shag one if you'd have to shag them all. Dude, you're making the same joke. Now look, here's where I'm going to defend Dan. What? So she can do it, but he can't do it. Got it. That's now the culture we live in. I mean, it is. And when you're on network television and sponsors and people complain, this is what you got to do. But this is ridiculous. You just want to silence your critics, Ava, because you did this too. You've been all over. You were not sickened. You saw an in and you pounced and you cut their throats because you knew the culture, because it rewards you right now as a woman. In the UK especially, everyone's ultra sensitive, ultra safe, and that's what happens. So now, here's Laurence going into it further, where he says, look, don't take a pop at Dan for something I said. That's not fair. He's right. Dan now reacted and probably should have been like, oh, no, let's not go there. If Dan wants to be a professional news anchor, well, yeah, you can't laugh at stuff like that, Dan, you dummy. Duh. He's not on his own independent channel where he can say whatever the hell he wants. It's got UK standards and stuff he's supposed to follow. I stand by every word of what I said. If a woman wants to go on television and belittle male suicide, she's totally within her rights to do so and not apologize. Just as I'm totally within my rights to say that I wouldn't want to shag a hyper-offended fourth-wave feminist and not apologize. Just as people are totally within their rights to be offended by my stating I would run a mile in the opposite direction from women like her should our paths cross in a bar. It's called free speech. He's right. You can hate him all you want. I realize the new woke world is low on laughter and high on offense, but it's still worth trying to find the lighter moments of this joyless new cancel culture, which has been created for us. The lady has said on air that she wants men to be frightened and terrified. Tumbleweed from the media at our premeditation and malviolence, but because it's not a man saying it, which just rather proves my point. Totally entitled to find my mockery of the insane hypocrisy in this world not to your taste, but that's me, and I will continue to be me. As a wise man once said, be yourself, everyone else is taken. So you can keep trying to cancel me away in your state of permanent offense. I've been canceled already and may well be again, but I don't care one bit, and I will keep defending my right to have an opinion on issues which concern me. Without free speech and the presumption of innocence, we are not free. We are quite communist Eastern Europe yet. We aren't quite communist Eastern Europe yet, but we may be very close, but not quite there. It's still worth fighting for. So if you're expecting a groveling apology, I suggest you don't hold your breath. I won't ever apologize to the mob. Have a lovely day. In this self-censoring world, speak your mind, live long free. And so here's the woman he called out.
See, I like that
far
terror.
too much. Well,
I like that.
As a mother of a teenage boy, I don't like that terror.
I do.
That's the thing I've ever heard.
That is
I
awful.
think that men should be frightened
I think
to
you'd
touch
feel
women in a way
differently
that
if you
they're
were,
not comfortable with.
But we're talking about
Yeah, but
teenagers,
we're not talking about.
children.
We're not talking about.
We're talking
yeah, but
about
it's an
young
interesting
children.
thing that you see. I would say
We're not talking about that.
attitude actually is part of the problem too.
It is.
That's to me toxic femininity.
It is.
That is saying you should all be.
Droid.
See, I
And there
like
is-
that.
Yeah, she wants all men to be terrified, so they can't even make a first kiss or do anything. You should be terrified always. And that's clearly not I don't think that's the way either. I don't think that's the way. But we weren't done. So Dan Wootton did, however, do the groveling apology, and here it was. I want to reiterate my regrets last night of the exchange with Laurence on GB News. Having looked at the footage, I can see how inappropriate my reaction to his totally unacceptable, I can't do that broad, pompous voice of his. The remarks appears to be what, to be clear, I was no way amused by the comments. I want to be clear. I was in no way amused by the comments. Come on. Could you dig yourself a bigger grave to prove how big of a liar and a hypocrite and a phony you are, Dan? I was not amused. You were so amused. You agreed with it wholeheartedly. And if you didn't, then you're a complete fraud. You had a genuine moment, and now you're going to tell us that was a lie. I retracted as I did out of shock and surprise in an off-guard moment while working out how to respond as he continued to speak by searching for tweets Ava had sent earlier in the day while having them read out in my ear at the same time. However, I should have intervened immediately to challenge offensive and misogynistic remarks. I apologize unreservedly for what was a very unfortunate lapse in judgment on my part under the intense pressure of a bizarre exchange. It was such a bizarre exchange out of nowhere. I should have known and done better. I'm devastated that I let down the team and our supportive GBN family. We seek to tackle the issue and not the person, which I intend to stress again on air tonight. Well, here's the problem, Dan. Here's the problem. Now, if you had done what Laurence did, I would have continued to have your back on this one, but you didn't. You lied, didn't you? And yes, even people had to correct your apology because Laurence, threw you under the bus. Here's after the show. Honesty is the best policy. Making you giggle is my weekly joy. Haha, you can imagine them freaking out in the gallery. Oh, so this was a bizarre exchange that you just didn't understand as you sent him 3 crying emojis laughing? You idiots. You idiots. And good on you, Laurence. Usually I don't like this, but yeah, call out this nonsense. Call out these lying hypocrites. What a joke of a network. To everybody who keeps defending, like, he's a fraud. This guy's a fraud. He's lying to you. Just for whatever. This is insane. Honesty is the best policy. And then he went in even further. Laurence doubled down. A phone call might have been polite to tell him that he's canceled. By matter of interest for the audience contributors do a pre-interview before going on so they know exactly what I intended to say. I fully defend the home of free speech's right to capitulate to the mob. So here was his, this is them talking. Why hard left commentator Culture War, broadcasters and anti-man agenda, says this is whatever wave of feminism we're on now. It's just pure man-hating. They've been force-fed so much rubbish like the gender wage gap. People always forget the 90% or 90% more of deaths are men protecting women. And the suicide rates are much higher. If a man had said this, there would be outrage. What's more, it makes these women deeply unattractive. What man would ever want to be in a relationship with a woman unless they were a self-hating simp? So this idea that, oh, what a weird, awkward exchange that I had no idea was coming. Oh. Laurence is like, no, nope, F no, bullshit. I'm calling it out. You laughed afterwards. You loved it. You knew I was going to say it. Don't you dare just now cancel me and throw me to the wolves because you now are deeply regretting it. Oh, I am so horrified. And I watched the footage back because I might lose my job, but I have to say this. Yeah, and you lost all credibility again. This is not the first time. Like, look, I don't like this guy. He's just a phony. He's just a phony. I don't get it. Speak your mind, dude. Be honest. But you're not honest, are you? Like, this is the type of man you are. And yeah, I've been calling him out, and people were mad that I called him out. I don't even know about it. We're not even talking about the accusations. That's not my business. He's innocent until proven guilty. But he's guilty of this. And he's guilty of that fake apology. This dude is a phony. Come on. Speak the truth, Dan, or you're no better than all the rest of the media people you're trying to call out. You aren't giving us honesty. You're giving whatever saves your ass. Every time you're just going to save your ass. Yeah, just throw Johnny Depp under the bus because he's suing you, and if you say otherwise, you might be liable, I guess, probably, right? But yeah, go ahead and support Amber, you simp. Talk about a simp. Oh my God, disgusting. So yeah, pardon if some people are laughing at this downfall, Dan, because, I mean, now look, this is a silly one. In my opinion, this woman, Ava, is a complete hypocrite. You're a complete hypocrite, Ava, because you're doing the same thing to people online and you've been doing it for months. So no, I'm not as offended as she is. I'm not sickened. Is this something that you should be doing on broadcast? No, we shouldn't be talking about who we want to shag in a professional broadcast setting. News out? No, of course. But is this conversation allowed to be had? Absolutely. Especially with some of the horrific things you've said. But that's your sort of brand, is to get everyone terrified and to get your way. So yeah, that's where I stand. This, I'm curious what you think. Regardless of whether you like Laurence Fox, I don't even know the guy personally. I don't know enough about him, but I gotta respect the fact that he doesn't bow down. You can disagree with what he says, but he's gonna stand by it, and that at least shows that he stands by his word. That's somebody who's gonna keep telling you the truth of what he believes, right? Whereas Dan Wootton's gonna cower and grovel and it just makes me just really dislike the man. But I'm curious what you think. There's the full rundown so far. We'll keep you posted on something else if it happens here. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all alerts, smash the thumbs up as well, and leave a comment down below. What do you think of all this? I want to hear your thoughts. It is Thursday. We'll be live later today because I'm back in studio. I'm like, is it Wednesday? It's Thursday. It's Thursday. We'll be live. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching here on Popcorn Planet.